This episode of The Surge is brought to you by Origin, proud partners of Cricket Australia and powering the power surge in BBL 15. The Big Bash has been full of memorable moments and today's guest has been involved in many of them.
Yes. Yes. For a maximum.
Melbourne Stars superstar Glenn Maxwell joins us on this special edition of the show. This is The Surge. G'day everyone and welcome to The Surge, and that is right, Glenn Maxwell is in the studio with me to talk about how the Melbourne Stars are going this season and also a little bit about his career playing in the BBL. Maxie, welcome.
Nice to be here, Whitey.
It's been an exciting run this year from the Melbourne Stars. Started really well, you've had your bit of a lull, but that Melbourne derby the other night just shows, I think, how dominant you can be.
Yeah, it was a really good, I suppose, 2025 for us. Basically went through... 10-1, I think we were through for apart from that final, and had a little bit of lull. I think with the way the tournament's been going, the toss is, the bat flip is so important. And I feel like we've been in positions to win a couple of those games where we've lost the bat flip and just haven't quite nailed those moments. And it probably has put us in the position where these last two games are really important, but we feel like we're playing really good cricket. We've got a side that's gelled really well together, and we're excited by what the rest of the season has to come.
What is it about the toss? Why has that all of a sudden become so important and so important to bat second, do you think?
I think it could be something about conditions and the way that they've probably surprised a few people. I think the wickets haven't traditionally played the same every time. We look at the two MCG pitches that we've had, for example. The first one we played at against the Hobart Hurricanes was probably as good a wicket as we've had in a long time, and Hobart probably stalled a little bit thinking it was slower than it was, and it gave us a chance knowing if we keep them anything under 185, we're going to chase this down, and I think we kept them to around 170, and there was full confidence in that team knowing that that's as good as wicket we're going to get. And turning up to the next game, there was some, I suppose, doubts amongst a few of the people going, we actually don't know how this wicket's going to play. The last couple of years that we've played on that side, on that particular wicket, it's been a little bit wavy and a little bit inconsistent, and they left a fair bit of grass on that pitch, and it ended up playing the way I thought it was going to play, which was inconsistent up and down, and really hard for stroke play, which when you bat first, you're obviously trying to stretch the boundaries and sort of see what the total can be. And if you go slightly too hard, it shoots you in the foot and ends up being an easier chase for the opposition. And that's probably caught a few teams short. You're not really quite sure how hard to go in that first innings, and it's sort of laid pretty bare for the team chasing. And it's only on nights like, I suppose, last night watching the Scorchers and the Strikers, when you get that all right, you get off to a hot start and you continue to go with it and keep going on a good flat wicket. That's when you can, I suppose, hurt teams and make enough of a total that's out of reach.
You talked before about the Melbourne Stars because not everyone, but there's a fair few people that forget how well you finished the year, obviously not in the final, but just to qualify. Did you feel that was real, that momentum that you were able to carry on from last year? It was just about picking up what you were doing so well in the back end of that tournament, or is a new tournament a totally new set of circumstances?
A little bit of both. I think when you have a couple of inclusions into the side, Mitch Swepson's been a huge addition to us. Joe Clark's obviously come back. Tom Curran was fully fit at the start of the tournament. Harris Ralph back in. We looked at our bowling attack and just thought, you know what, this is what we've been striving for over the last probably 5-6 years, is to have that bowling attack that we feel like that can take us the whole way. And we've probably had a lot of ins and outs throughout our bowling attack over the last few years where it's been really consistent, not being able to get, I suppose, the same people on the park the whole way through the season, and probably trial and error with a few different players as well. And to have that continuity with the side, a team that knows how they structure up and knows their role within the side is super important. And I think you only have to look at the really successful teams, the Sixers, the Scorchers. They've had consistent bowling attacks for such a long period of time, and you can build your side around that. Everyone knows how everything sort of falls into place when things are going well, and when it starts to slightly go off page, they know they've got the players to sort of cover for that. And it feels like we're in a position where our bowling attack is doing that exact thing. We've got all bases covered, and guys are playing their role beautifully.
That's what it feels like to me, is that you've got so many options that do so many different things. You might bowl 4 overs one game, you might not bowl the next. Stoin may be a bit the same.
Well, I'm guaranteed to bowl the first.
Well, that's true. That's true. But, like it feels like if things go off script or not the way you're expecting it to go, you kind of got the options to go to whenever required, which not all teams have.
Yeah, I think the fact that we've got a guy in Campbell Callaway who showed he's more than handy with the ball the other night. He bowled 1 over for 6 on a wicket that wasn't really turning, but his ability to sort of, I suppose, not give up a boundary, hit a consistent length is a sign of what else we've probably got in the locker that we haven't quite accessed as much yet. And an exciting thing that we've got the ball turning in different ways. We've got pace at different speeds. We've got guys that bowl slower balls. We've got Yorker hitters, and we've got raw pace in Ralph and Sids. And it's been just nice to be a part of. And when you're sitting in the field, you have the confidence that your bowling attack's going to get the job done for you.
Talk to us about the emotion of the team. It feels like when you've been playing this year, you're really celebrating wickets quite hard. I was on the boundary the other week at the MCG when you lost the game, but it really looked like it hurt you quite significantly. It feels like there's this feeling that maybe not has been there in the past, or we're just noticing it a little bit more. I'm not sure.
I think it's probably more of a united feeling of togetherness. I think within the squad, we win together, we lose together. Everyone rides the highs and lows of each game, and that can be sometimes really detrimental if you're going really poorly for a period of time. But when you have those wins, you've got to be able to celebrate them and got to be able to stick together and appreciate the good performances within that. And we've been trying to, I suppose, bring that passion and energy, which gets the best out of a lot of our players. And that energy, I think, is quite infectious. The crowd loves seeing it. They love seeing Stoin banging his chest. They love Sids going off and celebrating with the crowd. But to sort of see that consistently throughout the tournament, it's not fake. It's real emotion that the guys are putting in hard every day and trying to get the best result for this team.
You've been there a long time. Is this the best it's felt as a unified group, as a team, and even just from a quality point of view?
I think probably there's a couple of times where it's felt incredible. I think the team that we had that lost the Renegades in that final, we had quality all the way down the list. We had all bases covered again. Our overseas were all doing really well. I think we had Bravo and might have been Sandeep and Ralph that year. Can't think. Maybe we lost Ralph. But it felt like we had a lot of bases covered, and it was the same sort of thing, same enjoyment factor. It was just a shame we couldn't get the job done that year. And this is probably a similar feeling group where, it just feels great energy on the field. Stoin's doing a great job as a leader and uniting everyone together to, I suppose, go towards that single goal of holding up that first title for the Stars.
He seems like he loves it. I spoke to him on Saturday night about feel like it's making him be a better cricketer because he has that responsibility, but you can just see the care he has for the team and for the individual players, and he kind of wears that as a badge of honour that he really cares deeply for everyone.
Yeah, I think captaincy can go a couple of ways for different people. It can potentially derail you and start to almost forget your own game and start to worry about other stuff. But it's probably galvanised him in a way where it's probably made him see the game from a different light, and he's probably been able to concentrate on his own game, play in a different way, be a really strong leader on and off the field. And I think it's just probably made him a more well-rounded cricketer. He was already a class act for us, but we know that the experiences he's had probably over the last 2 years, the 0-5 to making the finals, he's probably seen both ends of the spectrum there. And to see him this year sort of, I suppose, use the weight of those last 5 games to his advantage and help the group get off to a hot start, which we haven't had very often in the BBL. And just to see the way that he's managed the group. He works really well with Peter Moores. They've got a great relationship, and it's just continued. It's been really consistent off the field. The meetings that we've had have been really clear. He's done a brilliant job, and he's really grown into that role.
You talked about Peter Moores. To talk to him is fascinating about cricket. He's like this man full of wisdom, almost like Greg Shipperd-like. You kind of feel like he knows everything about cricket. What's he like? Because he kind of stays behind the scenes because you've got the big personalities, the big names like yourself and Stoin and Sids, etc. But he's sort of in the background a little bit.
Yeah, I think while the high energy of and the emotion, I suppose, that we outpour on the ground, he's able to, I suppose, calm that down when we get off. Yeah, offset that a little bit off the ground, and probably recenter or realign us when we get off the ground, and not take it away at any stage. But I think just be able to, I suppose, realign our focus to, okay, next game, this is what we're obviously preparing for, and we'll do the same thing at training today, where it'll be a nice, clear, calm message, and then he'll sort of, I suppose, let the boys go and do their own thing. And he's been brilliant for our group, and he's got a wealth of experience. So I joked that he was coaching Richie Benaud in his prime. He didn't like that too much. And we've also joked that he's got the same haircut as Peter Siddle. He's been great for us, and as I said, him and Stoin have got a great relationship, and I think that's probably half the battle sometimes when you've got a captain and coach that work so well together. It helps the rest of the, I suppose, group fall into place.
I was really interested watching you closely on Saturday night with your partnership with Sam Harper, and it was almost like after every good shot, you're up to him, talking to him. I'd love to know what you were saying to him. I don't think it's a surprise to people in Victorian cricket to see the sort of thing he's doing, what he's capable of doing, but to actually see him do it on such a consistent basis in a high-risk game has been quite extraordinary to watch.
I think with Harps, I've worked with Harps for so long. When he first came to the squad, he reached out to me about wanting to work on different sweeps and develop his game, and I think that was early days at the Stars when he would have been maybe 20 or maybe even younger. But he was a young up and coming player. We're from the same cricket association back in the Ferntree Gully League, and I think I probably got drawn to him straight away with how much skill and ability he had, and I didn't realise probably at that stage the raw power he had and the shot-making ability he had. And we saw that probably early days for the Renegades when he got his chance and he was lapping and hitting these big sixes all over the place. And he showed glimpses of it for such a period of time, and it sort of just left you wanting more and more. And I think T20 players can mature at different times, and he's got to that stage now where there was a couple of players in our team that you might have thought this could be their last chance. There's contracts up for grabs. They've had a lot of opportunities, and to see those guys stand up and go, no, it's my time now. My game's in a great spot. I'm just going to trust it. And that also comes from coach and captain. That messaging has been so crystal clear from above to let them go out there and play their way. And the way that, I suppose, Tom Rogers, Sam Harper, Campbell Callaway have taken on that ownership of those top three roles has been a big part of why we're here, where we are now, and fighting for a final spot. And those three should be incredibly proud of how much hard work they've put in, the resilience that it's shown to, I suppose, keep showing up and keep trying to get better, and just keep finding a way to, I suppose, stretch the boundaries about how good they can be. But Sam Harper is just taking his game to a new level. He's super consistent in the way he prepares. He writes his notes, goes back to them, asks questions. You've never got this game figured out. And he's, I think, come to that realisation where he's consistently learning, he's consistently striving to get better. And it can be easy to, I suppose, make that 110 that he made against the Sixers and sort of probably have a lull. But he's continually tried to push the boundaries and make sure that he's still the man at the top of the order and still winning this game. So he should be commended for how well he's dealt with the early, I suppose, success that he's had in the tournament, but not rested up, not thought, okay, I've got this game sorted. He's continually tried to get better, tried to improve on a couple of plays and misses. How do I turn those into scoring opportunities or safer boundaries? And it's been amazing to watch, and would not be happier for him.
Now, if there's anyone qualified to answer this question, it's you. can you have too many shots? 'Cause it feels like with Sam, he knows he can play all the different shots, but it's actually about trying to simplify it as much as possible and not get too funky or not get too cluttered in his mind. He feels, and we've spoken about this actually with him on the Surge, about maybe putting a couple of shots away and trying to simplify the game a little bit more. Is that hard when you know you can do all these different things?
Yes and no. I think in different conditions, I think you work through it like a computer. So these conditions, these bowlers, these are my three best options, and they could be three completely different shots. You go up to the other end, it's a completely different bowler who's bowling different change-ups, and then you've got a couple of different options again. So to have all those options is a good thing, but to work out the best options for that conditions, the ground, the bowler, the timing of the match, that's the challenge of T20 cricket. Like, we've seen how good he is at lapping. He's probably only done it 2 or 3 times this whole Big Bash and is a leading run scorer. But because he laps and because he plays it so well, he's generally always got that fielder behind there. So the history of him playing that shot has been allowed him to play it a different way. And I'm sure at some stage they're going to, you know what, he hasn't been lapping recently. They'll bring him up and he'll start doing it again, which is the great thing about having options. It's a same thing with my reverse sweep. Teams will generally have that fielder out there. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just go to my next best option, which is either a cover drive or a slog sweep. So then you sort of go through your list of your options, conditions, what's your best boundary option, and hopefully work out the right one and the safest one and go from there.
Yeah, interesting. And Peter Siddle, what he's been able to do now, he's been in here a few times over the last couple of years. His journey's been incredible. Someone that he was retired, he was done 2 years ago, and now he's looking at playing on again next year, bowling 145 kilometres an hour, energy on the ball, but also energy just on his teammates. Explain how he's doing it.
Well, I can't. It's pretty awesome to watch. I think when he came to that first game of the 20 years, I haven't played a proper professional game since the Shield game in March or something like that. So I think the personal resolve to get yourself ready at that age to play in a professional domestic tournament with no real cricket behind him. I think he played in the Canada League maybe on synthetic outfield, and that was probably his only prep. And to know exactly what it takes to get your body right for a full tournament, there's every chance that he goes through this whole tournament being the leader of our attack, bowling all the important overs, bowling the surge, bowling the power play, bowling the death. Like, he's doing all the hard work for us at 41 years old, and still bowling at good pace, still using his wisdom with the other bowlers within the squad, helping around the group, being basically an extra vice captain for Stoin whenever he needs it, being a leader amongst team meetings. Like, I could not speak higher enough of him and how much behind the scenes hard work goes into him being able to do what he does. And it's just an incredible story. And you're right, 2 years ago, before we picked him up, he was probably not even thinking about playing Big Bash. And then last year he comes out, dominates for us, bowling mid 140s, and probably surprised himself a little bit. And then this year to see him back it up, it probably wasn't a surprise knowing Sids, but it's still extraordinary when you think about it. It's great to have him going well, and long may it continue. Let's hopefully get a couple more years out of him.
And it looks like he took charge of the Mace on Saturday night. That became his, not the Melbourne Stars. It was his own Mace.
He did say that he tried to give it the thaw, and then he was like, "Oh no, I'm starting to shake a bit. It's a bit heavy." And then chucked it into the ground. But it was a pretty cool thing to, I suppose, recapture the Mace. I think we were obviously a high emotional game at the MCG in front of 68,000 people, and to lose that probably the way that we did when we got a few wickets, we felt like we were back on top, and to just let it slip in that last over with all the emotions, it was a pretty hard come down, I think, after that, and to fight back and only, I think it was 5 or 6 days later, and do the business in really emphatic fashion at Marvel was, I think, really galvanising for the whole group to know that we've got that sort of performance in us heading towards the business end of the tournament is really exciting.
We're going to broaden out the discussion shortly on your own career, and you're a veteran now, whether you like it or not, with the amount of cricket
I've been a veteran for about 5 years.
That's true too. Just on your own role this year with the Stars, you haven't had to do much to this point, despite the fact that the team is doing so well. Talk to us about how you feel about your own game at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's been interesting. I think last year was probably relied on quite heavily to get us out of positions and play a different style and control a lot of what happened in the last 10 to 12 overs. And this year probably tried to set up the same way in case it ever went that way, and found I was probably without rhythm for a couple of weeks, and I hadn't played much cricket post the India series where I got back from my broken arm, and I think I was about 6 or 7 weeks without cricket, and played a couple of club games in one day, and just used that as centre wicket practice basically, just to try and get some sort of batting rhythm. And same thing, felt all right, that's worked, that's done really well, and then went through the first few games where it wasn't really needed, and sort of lost that rhythm again. And it's funny, I feel like I'm hitting the ball as well as everyone. I get into practice and then get into a game, it's just it's still difficult to try and find that rhythm again. And the other night, sort of batting with Harps was nice, just to hit a couple of rounds, be involved in a partnership, and I think that's probably the thing I'm concentrating on most now is how can I be of influence without having to try and be the main man or try and hit the first 3 or 4 balls for boundaries, and just make sure that the other guys doing really well, and probably play more of a backseat role and make sure I'm being a good leader with the way I'm playing.
Do you feel like you need some time in the middle between now and the final series to feel that you can have an impact, or you've got that much cricket behind you that you still trust yourself and believe that everything's okay?
No, I feel like I've played enough cricket to know that when the game turns up and it's on the line, that I'll be able to perform and be able to deliver. And that comes from years of being in this situation and being in these times where I'll come off not much cricket and go out there as soon as I get into the heat of the battle, and there's something on the line, I'll know when to turn it on and hopefully perform. But as I said, hopefully Harps and Tommy Rogers can keep doing the job. They're doing a great job, and long may it continue. Good
problem to have. How much do you want this? You've done so much in your career, internationally, domestically, with what you've won, but to actually win a BBL trophy, considering you've been there since the start, this is the 15th edition of the Big Bash, to actually win that, is that really important to you personally?
I'd be lying if I said I hadn't lost hours of sleep thinking about it this season. When I think when we were 5-0 and I was going to bed at night starting to let my mind drift forward to what if it is this year? What am I going to do? What's the future hold? I'd be lying if I hadn't started to think of that fairy tale and what it looks like. And this has been such a huge part of my career, playing at the Stars, the people that have been involved with the franchise, the impact that it's had on my career, the timings of certain innings, moments, players that have influenced and shaped and moulded me as a person, player, on and off the field has been, I suppose, a huge part of why I want this so much. They've given me so much, this team, and fans have been probably right there the whole way through every high and low, and I just feel like it'd be so great to be able to give them something back, and to be a part of that would be incredible.
All right, we'll sort of broaden out the discussion next about what the BBL means to you, what the Stars mean to you, and a few broader questions. It is The Surge. We've got Glenn Maxwell in the studio with us. It's now time to have a look back before we chat to Glenn about that catch he took up at the Gabba and work out whether it was it lucky or was it pure skill?
Lawrence into the attack with that unusual action. Prestwidge doesn't stand around and wait for it. What about this from Maxwell? We've seen some incredible stuff this summer, but that is the catch of the year.
Keep rolling through. Keep rolling through. Satisfied with that? Ready to make my decision?
That is unbelievable.
Yep.
We are so lucky to be watching this.
That's the best catch I've ever seen in the Big Bash.
There you go. There's the catch. You just seen it there roll out. When you watch that, what do you think?
I watched that and I think it's about time I got one of them. It's funny, the boundary line catches I've been practicing for years, and there's been certain rule changes which have allowed certain boundary line catches to be less, I suppose, acrobatic and explosive, where you can throw the ball up as many times as you want over the fence in the car park.
Yeah.
And you can sort of get away with it. And then as the rule changes have sort of, I suppose, evolved and changed over the years, you sort of have to adapt your training around it. And I think back to probably early days at the Stars, when we brought the boundaries in a long way off the square boundaries, there was a lot of room for like sort of balls to sort of top spin over and land around the rope. So I started practicing with a lot more room about how do I jump as far as I possibly can, create maybe 1 or 2 extra meters where I can get the ball back in. And that was probably when I started thinking about it a bit more seriously and how technique was going to play a big part in saving boundaries, and how using your teammates, being in, like, if you're a long way by yourself, how am I going to get the ball high enough? What's the technique I'm going to need to be in a position to throw it high enough? Like, what angle do I have to catch on? Where do I have to get my body? And all that sort of stuff started to come in. And that was all just trial and error. And I'd sort of go around the ground, do different, I suppose, spin types, ball curving into me, curving away, whatever it might be. And just started to try and get really good at reading the flight path when it is going to land around the rope. How am I going to take that completely out of the game and not worry about it? And there was one, I think the other night, or about a month ago now, it's when Peter Siddle obviously had that catch at long off, where I jumped and took the catch, and I wasn't sure how close it was, but as the ball was in the flight, I was like, I think that's going to be close to the rope, and I don't want to get stuck where I'm standing basically on the rope and I don't know where my feet are. So I just basically took it completely out of it and went, you know what, I do this 100 times in practice. I'm just going to commit to this and take the rope completely out of it and make sure of the catch. And sure enough, it was sort of near the rope. Probably could have caught it standing upright, but if the wind had have maybe pushed that an extra foot, I would have been forced to probably stand on it. So I was like, you know what, take it completely out of it and make sure of the catch. And that sort of practice has led to, I suppose, open conversations with a lot of the players in the team and trying to make the boundary an extra meter longer. And I reckon that's probably the most fun I get out of fielding, is being able to, I suppose, stretch the boundaries a little bit and force the batters to hit it even further.
So we often talk to Australian rules footballers who sense where the goals are. They don't even necessarily see them when they kick their snaps under pressure in a sort of a play-on situation. Are you watching where the rope is as the ball's coming in, or is it more a sensing of, because of the practice you've put in there, you can focus on the flight of the ball and not worry about the rope because you kind of know where it is without knowing?
Well, with that press switch one, he hit it quite straight. I was a little bit wide at long on. So I was running diagonal to the ball, and I had the perfect view of the trajectory. I knew it was going over the rope. And because of the angle I was running, out of my peripheral, I can see the boundary. So as I'm running, I know I've got to start to get ready to load up a jump, try and get as high and as long as I possibly can to give myself enough time to make the catch and give myself enough time to throw it while I'm in the air. And I try and take the catch on the way slightly up and then make the throw on the way down. And then because I knew that long off was quite wide, I knew I wasn't going to be able to get it to him. So I was like, well, I've got to try and make this play myself. So I've got to throw it high enough to allow myself to land and get back in. And the good thing is that I'm taking off from my left foot, which is not my strongest, and I'm landing on my right foot, which is my stronger one. So I'm able to push off and go. When it's on the other side, my left ankle doesn't quite want to push off as quickly as the other one. So it was probably on my safer side. My right hand's a better catching hand, and taking it one hand allowed it to sort of almost be in one motion where I was able to go bang straight into an underarm. So it allowed me a little bit more time while I was in the air. If I take that two hands, I've probably got to load up another underarm, and it ends up being a bit closer to me landing before I've got rid of the ball. So I think as I took off, I was like, yep, I think this is going to be one-handed. Yep. And then bang, make the play.
Are you more satisfied in taking that sort of catch compared to some of the ones you've taken in the infield, which has maybe been more spectacular with the dive or the acrobatic side of things? Is it because there's more skill and more different components attached to being out in the outfield?
I think the amount of work that I've put into that particular type of catch, I think that's why it was satisfying to know that I have put so much time and effort into making sure that if there is balls that are going over the rope, I can still effect a play.
Because it's not just a catch, it's also saving six runs.
Yeah. I think that's probably what was the most pleasing thing. It was like, technically I've worked so hard on this and I've tried to bring a few of the players with me, and in doing boundary line catching and explaining why it doesn't matter what boundary line you're on, always be a couple metres off. I don't care how short the boundary is. You've got to have enough room to have a couple of steps to explode and jump. Like you can create a bigger fielding circle by just being in 1 or 2 metres. Even at Adelaide Oval when it's 55 metres, I'm still a couple of metres off the rope. It's just so it gives me enough time to turn and run a couple of steps to be able to get that jump. It's really hard to, I suppose, jump long and high enough from a standing position. So just to be able to give yourself that little bit of space to get a bit of momentum and hopefully create a slightly bigger boundary.
So if someone in local cricket does something spectacular, they just hope it's on frog box, which is difficult, particularly in the outfield, because it's you only pretty much see the pitch. But all the, we stick it on frog box and have a look on a Saturday night. Are you someone that likes to look at your own highlights and see what you've done, or is it like, no, it's done now, it's on to the next one?
Well, you get tagged in it straight away on Instagram, so you sort of see it straight away. And
do you not so much go wow at what you're doing, but can you impress yourself? I mean that the right way.
No, I think it's more. I look at it and go, good. That's how it felt.
Yep.
I want it to look the way it feels.
Yes.
So I think sort of matching up. It's a lot of the reason I think as a up and coming player, you should always probably film your training sessions and sort of try and marry up the looks to the feel. So I remember as a kid, I think for my dad's 50th birthday, he got a video camera basically to film my games. And we filmed our net sessions. He'd serve tennis balls at me. We'd race home, plug it into the TV and watch the whole net session back. But I wanted to see my own technique. I wanted to see how it married up to how I felt when I was batting and if the shots looked the way I felt like they felt. And hopefully having that understand about look and feel and making sure bat path is how I felt it was and how it looked is probably the reason I was the cricketer I was when I was growing up. And I always like to sort of match up feel versus look. And I think it's why looking back at your footage, it's not about a feel-good thing. It's about remembering your movements and making sure you're remembering the good stuff you did and why it was good and understanding that balance of, right, that's how it looks when I'm going really well and that's how it looks when it's not quite where you need it to be. So marrying up those couple of things, I think, is why I use footage quite a bit.
So then that sort of moves perfectly into your batting. We all think of the switch hitting and the reverses and all these sorts of all the high degree of difficulty shots. What gives you most satisfaction when you hit a boundary? What's the shot that you're happy with the most? That you go, yep, I'm playing well, or that's exactly how I want it to be.
Probably the drives over mid-off. I think that's when my body shape is the way I'm trying to set it up. I try and set up to hit over mid-off and deep backward square, which is how I align my body. And
that's why sometimes you're a lot more open than
I'm a lot more open. But when I open up, I'm actually setting up to hit over mid-off because I know I realign my shoulders in that position and I'm hoping that my bat flow will naturally happen. I'm not too worried about my bottom half. My bottom half's open to access behind square if they do go short to then allow my body and just hands to just go through. But I'm looking for full that I can hit over mid-off and to when it's going really well, I know exactly how it looks and I know how it feels. So it's something I've worked really hard on, and I probably think back to the Marvel game last year when I scored probably 3 or 4 sixes over long off with that Marvel, which is a huge straight boundary, and to be able to hit the ball that cleanly through that area showed I was in a great position. And I look back on the positions that I got in that game, and I'm like, yep, that's how I want it to look, and that's how I want it to feel. I remember exactly the positions I was on. I remember what I was thinking as the ball was running in, and trying to marry that up and keep that consistent going forward.
Do you hit the ball the same way as you did when you first started playing cricket for Australia? Because we're seeing now a lot of players kind of slice the ball down the ground to get the ball to go further. I know you're one of the first to do that sort of thing. Did that come about by accident? Did it come about by watching baseball, or how did it come about that you kind of started to be one of the first to hit the ball quite differently down the ground?
Yeah, I was more of a leg side player when I first started. I slog swept, I pulled, and I hit over long on. I didn't really use the offside much. I had the odd reverse sweep when I was younger, but when I started playing for Australia, but it wasn't something that I'd worked hard at mastering. It was more, I'm literally looking for anything slightly short that I can pull and hit to leg side. And your game evolves and changes over the years, where I started to get more offside dominant. I started to go over cover more. I started to lose the leg side. Then I started to gain that back. And I sort of went through different progressions, I think, with where I was in my batting career. And I think to try and sort of, as you get older, you sort of become a bit more rounded. So you start to play the game a little bit more, and you actually just start to play the field instead of, all right, I'm just looking for 1 or 2 particular balls. But I used to sweat on anything slightly above my knee roll, and I'd pull it. So that changed, and I started to look more over cover, and started to look for reverse sweeps, and then started playing the field.
So is it the way that not just you, the way you hit the ball, is it kind of slicing or cutting the ball for the way it goes down the ground now, rather than a full face? It feels like it's more a slicing sort of almost golf type shot.
Yeah, I think leg side players will, apart from probably Tim David, who's one of the best exponents of that open face grip, he's done a great job in turning power hitting into a work of art. The way that he can hit that wide Yorker miles over cover for 6, can also hit it dead straight down the ground. And if you get slightly inside that wide line, it's probably going to mid-wicket. And then if you're anywhere straight, it's gone as well. He's in such a great, strong position for every ball, and there's such a beautiful bat swing. And he knows if he has the bat face slightly open, he can access every part. And it's almost like when he gets the right one, it almost closes over just a touch to make sure it goes a little bit further and straight down the ground. I probably think about the 6 that he hit in the T20 series at, was it Ninja Stadium?
Yeah.
Where it hit the top of the stand. And I've never seen a ball anywhere near that at that ground. Like, that's the longest hit I've ever seen at Ninja Stadium. And we were watching it in the air going, that's got to come down at some stage. And then it just hit the sign above the stand. It was like, oh my God, that is so big. Yeah. But that was the one where it's like, it's the hands are really open, but the bat face is actually sort of slightly closed, and he just nutted it absolutely perfect, and it went miles.
So I remember you talked to me about how if you're playing a red ball game, which unfortunately you don't play as many of, in fact, hardly any anymore, versus white ball, you actually have a different grip, which I'd love you to explain, because you talked to me about this in the nets one day, and I was just like, I couldn't believe it, how different it is too. Yeah,
I think if I was to go back to red ball, my setup would be different. My trigger would be different. You're looking to leave a lot more. You're looking to be more selective in probably only having 2 or 3 shots for a long part of your innings, where in white ball cricket, you've got to keep the whole ground open. You've got to continually score. You've got to continually be busy putting pressure back on the bowler, where red ball cricket's about absorbing pressure and batting longer periods of time. And I think in BBL and T20 cricket, I'm open face. I'm trying to make sure I'm not facing any dot ball. So anything outside off, I'm I've got to try and find a gap on the offside or create something on the leg side, whatever it might be. In red ball cricket, you're probably letting that go and trying to wait for the bowler to hopefully bowl fuller to you or shorter or whatever you're looking for. You're trying to force them to go searching and try and drag you into an area where you want them to bowl.
Yes.
And so it means your bat face is going to be straighter for a little bit longer. You're hoping that they bowl straighter and your bat face is straight down to them instead of open trying to run it. So there's a couple of differences, and you're probably hoping for more inside edges in red ball cricket where you're covering the ball going away. You get an inside edge, it goes down to fine leg for one, and it feels like you've won the battle. Where that happens in T20 cricket, the bowler feels like they've won the battle. So yeah, there's a couple of like little differences that I see. I don't think that's for everyone. Like I'm going to say Sam Harper's probably been the same way in both formats. Before he started the tournament, he talked about how much fun he had facing Mitchell Starc, and he wasn't even thinking about trying to hit boundaries, but literally just got into a zone where he was just like, oh, I'm just going to hit it, and was playing some amazing shots. And I think he ended up getting out to him, but he said he had so much fun in that contest where it was just felt free and enjoyable.
And then from the last one on the batting craft, the switch hit or the reverse. Now, is that always premeditated, or have you got enough time, obviously if the bowling is slow, to be able to make that adjustment once the ball leaves the hand? Or is it purely based on where the field is and you've actually got to make that call before it's bowled?
No, you have to make that call before it's bowled. I think to be 100% committed to when you're playing that shot, be 100% clear where you're trying to hit that shot as well. So I've made it no secret that I've got a lot of different techniques to hitting that shot. It's not always the same reverse sweep. It's not always the same switch of feet. There's different areas that I'm trying to access, and I'm trying to move the field around to make it an easier option to score a boundary a different way and hopefully force the bowler to bowl in a different way as well. So it's something that I've worked really hard on over the years, and something that I hope gets me out of trouble if the conditions are in the bowler's favour. If I can play that a couple of times, hopefully it gets them off their game and starts making them bowl a different way.
Is that all your strategy or technique? Have you looked at others that have done it? AB de Villiers comes to mind. Danny Flower comes to mind from the past that have been able to do it very successfully. So have you watched what they've done, spoken to them, or has it always been your way?
You certainly get ideas watching from other people. I remember, so you used a couple of really good examples there, like Andy Flower. I remember him reverse sweeping really successfully when he came to Australia. AB de Villiers has been able to do it.
KP's another one. A teammate of yours.
Yep, KP was a big switch hitter, was able to change around, had a lot more movements than I think I can do, where he sort of jumps and sort of gets in position. But having long limbs and a big reach probably allows him to do that. Me being slightly shorter than him, I have to probably do it in a different way and be able to, I suppose, build momentum and rhythm through the ball to be able to get pace. And Owen Morgan was one I used to watch who had really quick wrists. He used to be able to do it off pace bowling. I remember him doing off Ravi Rampal in a T20 World Cup in the West Indies. I don't know what year that was. Like 2010-ish?
Yeah.
But I remember him, like Ravi Rampal bowling fast Yorker and Owen Morgan literally staying dead still and reverse ramping him for 6, and like all with fast hands. It wasn't just a lap, it was a fast hands flick. And I remember watching it going, wow, that's amazing manipulation of the field, amazing skill and ability. How could I potentially bring that in my way, and what movements would I need to sort of be able to execute something like that, where if the man and backward pointer up, how can I access that area? And tried to sort of go about my own way to try and find boundaries in that region.
Walking out to bat when you know so many people are there to watch you play and for you to put on a show, the pressure that comes with that, how do you focus just on the ball that's coming, knowing that, we're coming to watch Glenn Maxwell hit sixes, as opposed to we're coming here to watch the Melbourne Stars win or to watch Australia win? How do you How do you block that out? Or do you actually sort of accept that and kind of see that as a bit of a compliment and it helps you become the player that you've become?
I've got better at blocking it out over the years. I understand people want to be entertained. I understand that there is a lot of expectation around me when I come to the crease from past results, past experiences they might have had coming to watch the cricket. But I think once I go out there and I see my partner at the other end, I'm able to probably realign pretty quickly, and I've got pretty good at blocking out a lot of, I suppose, white noise where I'm able to I suppose, concentrate on what is coming down. And
can you sense it? Can you sense it as you're walking out, or?
Yeah, it probably gets to until I mark centre and I'm facing up. I probably take it in a little bit, and then I think I have my little pre-ball routine where no, this is my job, this is my business. I've got to knuckle down, and this is what I need to do. And being a middle order batter, it's generally played out pretty clearly in front of you what you need to do. So I try and focus on that as much as I can, and it's probably a learned skill from past experiences gone wrong. I certainly haven't always got it right. Sometimes I've let it get to me, and the weight of expectation can weigh pretty heavily on you. And if you don't score runs a couple of times in a row, you can have that heightened sense of pressure and grip gets a bit tighter. You start to not focus on the things that really matter, which is just that ball coming down at you. And but yeah, it's probably taken a long time to get to this stage, and yeah, it's something I think that I've got better at managing these days.
Yeah, and then there's always the noise. And I remember Andrew McDonald said to me one day about you as a cricketer, if you want the good, you've got to accept the bad, that it's not always going to come off. So if you're yelling and screaming and all excited when Maxi does this and Maxi does that, you've got to understand that you then got to cop it that if he tries to reverse sweep and gets out without scoring, that's just part of what he does as a cricketer. Is that something that did Andrew McDonald help you in that sense, or is that something again that just through experience you've learnt to accept in your own performance? I guess.
Yeah, there was probably Michael Divenuto as well. He used to sit in the change room, and if let's say I miss a reverse sweep and someone would say something, he goes, "Well, don't clap his good ones then." Like we all sit there and cheer when he hits his good ones. If you're not going to take the bad ones, don't clap the good ones. So yeah. He's done that a lot for us. So you got to support him.
Did that help you?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
To have the support of and I know I've got the backing and support of all the change rooms that I play in, because they've I feel accepted, which hasn't always been the case. But you've got to have a lot of years, I suppose, of trust, and you got to build that up and perform well enough in high pressure games, and have enough credits in the bank to be able to play a certain way. And I feel like I've done enough to earn that.
So do you ever get off the ground and go, Glenn, why did I do that? Or I shouldn't have done that at that early? Or are you good at accepting, no, that's the nature of the game, and in that moment I did what I thought was the right thing to do?
Oh, I certainly have times where I get frustrated at the way I get out or the way I played, and probably even more recently against the Renegades at the MCG. I think I went away from a game plan that I had really simple before the game, and I went away from that, and that was probably the most frustrating one, where that was set out beautifully for me to be able to control the middle overs, get ready to take the surge, and then go from there. And that was probably the most frustrating one, which probably realigned me to play the way I did the other night when I was back with Sam, and to make sure, no, I'm going to put that straight into practice. This is what I planned before the game, and this is how I'm going to play. And to be able to put that straight into practice is, I think, what experience is if you make a mistake, you're able to learn from it straight away and move and go and put it into practice straight away. And as I said, it hasn't happened overnight. That's been a lot of years of making mistakes and trial and error and learning experiences and learning from your teammates as well. And to be able to hopefully share those experiences with other players coming through, hopefully they take those experiences on board and can learn quicker than I did, and hopefully have long careers.
A lot of the people that listen to this podcast or watch this podcast are young players coming up, or even just suburban cricketers. And you go to a cricket ground that's a small one, the batter might go out and go, oh, I reckon I might be able to hit sixes on this ground. And then they might go to another ground where the outfield hasn't been cut for 2 weeks. And they go, well, I'll put the big shots away. I'm not going to be able to do it, so I've got to play the percentages. For you, when you go out, is there any ground where you go, I can't hit a six any ball if I really want to? And is that, again, does that change the way you might play if you're playing on a small ground in New Zealand versus the MCG, or playing in England versus playing somewhere else?
To be fair, every time I walk out to the MCG, I look at the boundaries, I'm like, can't hit a six here. I cannot hit a six here. It's impossible. It's so far over there. And then when you're in the game, you're just playing and you end up hitting one well enough that it goes for six. And
so it's actually about playing the shot rather than the actual result.
Yeah, I probably don't. I probably talked myself out of it before the game. It's like, well, I'm not taking on that boundary. I'm not taking on that boundary. Not even going to bother looking over there. Same thing, Adelaide Oval. Look down the ground. I'm like, no one's hitting a six there. And then you watch Stoin hit one off the toe and it goes over the sight screen. You're like, what is going on here? This guy's way too strong for me. But yeah, I think once you get in the game and the adrenaline's going, you're watching the ball and you're just adapting and just playing your shots, it can happen naturally. And that's when I've been playing at my best. Same thing at Marvel. I look straight down the ground there and I don't think I can clear the rope. And you see the fielder out there, it's like, I'm not taking on him. And I did it like 3 or 4 times when I hit it over the top of it. And I was like, I don't know where that came from, but I hit the middle of the bat and it went for 6. So that's just clear thinking and hopefully just watching the ball and reacting. And I try not to have the boundary sizes get into my head too much. Sometimes it can happen when you get to Adelaide Oval or Hobart, where you see those short square boundaries and you're sort of looking over going, won't take much to get it over that. But yeah, I think what we've tried to do as a team this year is try and keep the whole ground open. Don't worry about the boundary size. Just keep the whole ground open, and try to adapt to what you see coming down, and it's worked pretty well for us.
Before we let you go, and thank you so much for coming in. I know a lot of people be loving hearing all these stories. Over the course of your career, 15 years in the BBL, are there a couple of moments that stand out for you that you're particularly fond of?
Yeah, one definitely springs to mind. I think of the derby in, I think it was either 2014, it was the 2014-15 season, batting with Kevin Pietersen. I'd come under a bit of fire for my start to the BBL tournament. Hadn't played that well, had that famous leave up at the Gabba, and was really rattled. Was pretty much all over the place. And Kev backed me non-stop. He was on the mic, talking me up the whole time. We were batting together, and he got me through that innings. I think we put on around 100 or something together. Ended up getting 60 odd, and it started my momentum heading towards the 2015 World Cup, where people were calling me, basically calling for me to not be a part of that squad. And that innings at the G probably changed the way I played for that next however long period. I ended up having so much confidence heading into that World Cup as part of I think I was in the team of the tournament, and got my first ODI 100. Like it all sort of snowballed from that game at the MCG in front of a really good crowd against some Renegades. And I think it ended up being a famous last ball win, like most of them, where I think Callum Ferguson had the back flip towards the Suns. I think Keithy got run out. I think it might have been
Remington was bowling, I think.
Yeah, Remington was bowling. I reckon Tom Triffett was batting. I reckon Haystow got run out the ball before. Oh, there was so many things that happened. It was just a really cool evening, and yeah, I think that started my form run for the next couple of months, and yeah, I owe a lot to how that game went.
The best player you've played with?
You could throw a blanket over probably 4 or 5 of them. I think Stoin's been incredible for us. Malinga was a superstar. KP probably was one of the best players on the planet at the time, that should have been playing for England, wasn't, but was playing for the Stars and dominating. Yeah, we were certainly very lucky with the players we had. Bravo, one of the best T20 records of all time. We were certainly very fortunate. Hard to nut out just one.
It is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard.
Brad Hodge, superstar of T20 cricket. I think it was a time where I think at Victoria we had the top three leading run scorers in the world in T20 cricket. I think it was Hodge, Hussey, White in our middle order, which was pretty incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the best player maybe you've played against that maybe made it difficult for you to bat against over the time, or someone that you could actually watch and go, this is pretty cool watching this guy play.
Tait was always like he was, because we had some good contests where sometimes I would win, most of the time he would win, and there was a good time. I reckon it wasn't a good time. It was maybe BBL 3 or 4. And it was when the Adelaide Oval was under construction. And first ball, I came out there and Tait was bowling, and he bowled a bouncer to me, and I sort of like just put my bat in front of my face and went, well, this is going to hit me. And I hit the sticker of my bat and went into the construction site. So it was only about probably 57 metres. Anyway, lipping off, and being a young idiot, I went back at him. And then next ball, tried to hit it for 6 over mid-off, nicked it over the keeper, went at him, blocked one to mid, chunked one to mid-on, no run, should have taken the single, but I was like, beans were going. Next ball, full, I tried to hit this thing over the other stand, over cover, bowled me, and the stump cam on off stump, which was attached to, stump went flying because it was stuck on the stump cam, lassoed and landed back in front of me. So as I'm standing there, like looking to hit this 6 over cover, I've just watched this stump land in front of me. I was like, yeah, that was pretty quick. And like sort of walked over my stump and walked off the ground, and he sort of like veered off after his run up and like followed me off and started to keep going. And yeah, fair enough. And I remember looking at the scoreboard and it was like 154.3 or something. Like, it was stupid. It was so fast. And I remember we had some real good battles, and he was frightening to face, like so fast. I remember that one.
And if you're sitting on the couch watching a game after dinner, who's the one you go, oh, good, I'm really pleased that they're playing tonight. I want to watch them play. Who entertains you?
I love watching Max Bryant bat.
Yeah, okay.
He's got a beautiful bat swing. Renners is batting off out of the planet as well. Tim David, always love watching him bat. And probably Laurie Evans is the other one.
Yeah. Does he remind you of you? Because he reminds me of you when he bats.
No. No, he doesn't. He doesn't remind me of me. I just like the fact that he's just got so many options. He's such a clean striker. He's got runs against us. He got runs against us in Geelong, I think it was. I just remember watching the ball striking, the bat swing, and just going, it was, as much as it's bad against us, it was just so pure. And when he's going, obviously there's Tim David, but there's not many better that you like to watch.
How, and this is one of the last questions, how proud are you of the Big Bash? I mean, that might sound a silly question, but you've been so central to it. It started really well, and then it had a little bit of a lull, and it's come back. It feels like it's back to almost like it's best. It's sparkling best. You've been part of all of that. How proud are you when you walk out on the MCG the other night? There's 70,000 there for domestic cricket, and you're so central to everything that's happened. I'm
glad that the Big Bash has got back to where we think it should be as a domestic competition. For a long period of time there, we were probably the second best domestic competition in the world. And you're right, when I think it was around COVID time or when we extended the games, it started to have that little bit of a lull and started to and struggled to sort of keep its head above water, and to feel like we're getting back to where it used to be, maybe 6 years ago.
Yep.
It is great for all the players playing right now, and hopefully it continues to grow. Hopefully we can continue to generate interest. Hopefully overseas players want to come over and spend their Christmas and New Year here and be a part of a great competition. And hopefully there's more positive stories to come out of this season where players from outside of Australia are like, yeah, I want to be involved in that.
Because we're biased. We'll think it's the best competition in the world. You've played in pretty much every competition in the world. Do you think it does stack up quality-wise?
Well, to be fair, I haven't played nearly as many as some of the other guys. I think without playing the ILT, the South African League, I feel like I've missed a few of the leagues, probably more so in the last few years, trying to sort of elongate my career a little bit, make sure that I don't burn myself out. But I know guys are really excited by going to the MLC, going to the 100. I think for a lot of the older players, it's probably more about the lifestyle now that you're able to live while you're playing these tournaments. I think when you go to America and you're anonymous to the world, you're able to, I suppose, be a normal person, be just another face on the street and be able to do normal things, which I think appeals to a lot of people. Mm. Same thing for the 100. I think when you're in England, enjoying the summer there at the back end, everyone's pretty happy. The sun's out, so the Poms are happy. It's a quick, fun tournament to play, and I think that appeals probably more to people around my age. And everyone's going to have different values and what they look for in a T20 tournament. But I'm certainly excited by what our BBL has been able to offer players that come over here and for the first time or a new experience, and hopefully they have a positive experience. They go back and tell their county teams, their domestic sides, whatever it might be, and say, that was awesome, you need to be a part of it.
Mm. How long do you reckon you got left? Hopefully a long time.
Hopefully a few more years. I think what's really exciting me at the moment is how much my son is loving coming to the games and really excited.
How old is he now?
He's 2 he was 2 in September.
Yep.
So he's almost 2.5 now, and he absolutely loves it. Like, comes to the game, sits there and loves the fireworks. And I think as a player, you always see all the pyrotechnics go off and you're like, what an absolute waste of time this is. And so much going on. But I probably now I realise how much the kids absolutely love it and love that experience of flashing lights going on. There's fireworks and explosions going on all over the tops. And it really is an entertainment package. And he absolutely loves coming to the games and coming down to the rooms and seeing Dad afterwards.
Oh, that's awesome. And then you've got a very important little period coming up. You're obviously the Stars, and hopefully they play well in a final series, but then a World Cup. So are you locked in now? Are you right in that sort of mode, or is it you get the Stars out of the way and then worry about the venture to South Africa, venture to
Sri Lanka,
Sri Lanka and wherever else it might head after that with the T20 World Cup?
Yeah, I think I'm always keeping an eye on obviously what's to come and preparing this aging body for the vigours of a world tournament, which is going to be potentially pretty thick and fast with a bit of travel. Sri Lanka is a really hard place to play. The conditions are tough, and we're going to have, I suppose, a little bit of an adjustment period when we get over there, where you're going to be working pretty hard in hot, humid conditions and trying to not burn yourself out, but also get the most out of your training, which I think is always a fine line when you go over there, because it's like, I need to bat for a little bit longer. I need to get these conditions down pat, but can't train for too long because I'll be stuffed and I won't be able to train tomorrow. So you're always sort of working on that edge of making sure you're physically okay and you're technically in a good space for those games. So it's something that I am keeping an eye on, but making sure that I don't lose sight of tomorrow's game, the next game after that, hopefully the finals, if we can get through, and creating something really special right now, and then hopefully going over and doing the business in the World Cup.
It's a big game against the Strikers. It's one of those games where it's about trying to qualify, but also about potentially trying to get a home final. It's big. It's your last home game of the regular season, at least. You got to you got to come up against Alex Carey and a bit of an unknown quantity at times, the strikers. You don't really know what you're going to get from them.
Yeah, they've got a lot of quality, like individual performances throughout that side that can win the game on any given day. And to be able to hopefully keep them quiet is going to be probably our biggest challenge, is to make sure that not one of them has their individual brilliance day. We've seen Jamie Overton do it with bat or ball in the past, and we know the quality of their couple of leg spinners. They brought in Cameron Boyce the other night, and he bowled beautifully again, and he's been able to do that pretty consistently.
Awesome.
He just keeps turning up and keeps getting the job done. He's a great man, Boise, and Lloyd Pope continues to take wickets, doing a great job for them. And they're obviously brilliantly led by Shorty. So we're going to have a work cut out, but hopefully with our momentum from the other night, we can keep that going.
Have you done the grid game? Because Finchie's done the grid game. I would have thought if anyone's going to be good at the grid game, it's you. Yeah. Because of all the players you've played with and against, all the players you know, just those random players that have played a couple of games. Have you done it?
I did it for footy a couple of times.
You haven't done the cricket one yet?
I haven't done the cricket one
yet.
yet.
We're going to have to get you onto this. You'll be right into it.
This seems like one niche market.
Right in your wheelhouse. Don't forget, for all the information when it comes to the BBL, you've got to get on the app. That's what you got, the BBL app with all the information you need. You got the tipping, you got the news and all that sort of information. There's still $15,000 up for grabs with that BK tipping competition. Thank you so much for coming in. It's awesome.
No,
I know there's a lot of people that would have absolutely loved listening to all of that from Glenn Maxwell. We'll catch you again, I think we'll be tomorrow night from the MCG where the Stars take on the Strikers. Until then, hope you've enjoyed The Surge.